Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central, and thank you so much for dropping your comments on our socials. Let's go straight to the front pages of the papers. We do have our public affairs guests and analyst who's here with us, Sesan Okunade. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm sure you, I don't know, I think I saw you. You were one of those jumping or celebrating Donald Trump. I don't know if you're the one.
Yeah. Actually, my twin brother, who I sent there to represent the family.
Okay, I see. Great one.
Good morning and thanks
Good
for
comeback. Good comeback. Let's take a look at the front page. Let's start off first with the leadership. The leadership, we do have meter producers, Ghana, Benin, Niger, and others. That's got to do with a story concerning electricity. You might want to check that out. 50% telecom tariff increase not across board, NCC says. This is a development. So that's a developing story concerning that. Abuja Kaduna Kano Road contractor competent, federal government says. We did talk about it early this morning. Minister of Works David Umahi did come out to downplay that story we saw yesterday on the front page of Daily Trust. Poor remuneration behind Japa syndrome, CMDs say. I'll take another one. 2.3 billion Mambila project case. Buhari makes appearance at ICC tomorrow. We also have that former President President Olusegun Obasanjo will also make an appearance there. And that's pretty much all from the leadership.
All right, away from the leadership, let's go to the Punch newspapers. It says here, bandits influx. Amotekun mobilizes 2,000 men to comb Southwest Forest. Corps seeks advanced technology, arms, and better equipment to tackle insecurity in the region. Tinubu promises fairness as Ogoni oil exploration plan resumes. And also how El-Rufai's ex-chief of staff laundered 3.9 billion naira forex proceeds, says the ICPC. Supreme Court hears Wike Fubara loyalist appeal February 10th. Immigration arrests 90 foreigners for cybercrime in Rivers State. Top of the screen, Nigeria's public debt hits 142 trillion naira as borrowing rises. Rural areas suffer blackout despite 14 billion naira power spending. And also NNPC raises petrol price to 990 naira in the FCT and 960 in Lagos.
Anyway, let's see if we can... let's take one more. Daily Independence. Let's go to Daily Independence this morning. Let's see what paper we have next. Yes, Daily Independent. Alleged sale of federal government assets in Kano tears workers' company apart. Workers petition Attorney General of the Federation, Kano government. We follow due process in our transactions. MD NRC property. Railway Workers Union president says petitioners are faceless. Another one, our hospitals will soon be empty of doctors, nurses, CMDs lament. Tinubu steers economy in right direction to stay course, but Gudu says federal government alerts public on confirmed anthrax outbreak in Zamfara. Telecom tariff hike due to inflation rising costs, says Minister. Trump policies may weaken Naira, worsen Nigeria's debt servicing costs. That's an inside story. You might want to take a look at the Daily Independent. Let's go straight to our guest. Let's go straight to the very first story, Mr. Okunade. Let's look at this tariff hike, which is a conversation everyone is talking about. We just spoke about it not quite long ago. What's your take on that? The papers are also talking about it too.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I will, let me start from the place of a businessman, which I belong to. You observe that this issue of tariff for the telcos have been on a fixed rate since, let's say, 2012 or 2013 without any increase. And if you look at inflation, I think we've moved above 300% from that period till now. And same has been said on the part of those people, possibly because I have few relationship with some of these service providers in terms of the power that they make use of. I can tell you, that the cost at which they pay now for electricity or the alternative power supply is high the roof. And I ask myself, where is the cost of survival for this organization? For me, approving the 50% hike is something that is long overdue, because the failure that we are experiencing for this hike was caused by the government. The annoying thing there is that the hike is going to be bought by the citizen and not government making provision for the problem they created. Inflation is not created by you and I. It's failure of insecurity, inconsistency that we have in terms of foreign exchange, and the business climate that is really not conducive for businesses to grow. Those are the things that are actually responsible. And I always tell individuals, when you look at a situation where you say, don't increase the price of something, and because the organization already are enjoying some largesse, if you kill that organization who provides the services, that's the area that we must definitely look at. You see, government here is responsible for what we have faced here. We cannot continue to blame it on the private sector, who we all know that the essence of business is business. You go into business for you to maximize your profit, and that's why the regulators are there to make sure that they streamline. Who and I would know definitely that in the last 10 years, you have not increased the price of tariff of what you're selling. I'm sure you know that the price of ordinary pure water is not the same 10 years ago to what we have now.
Absolutely.
But those people have been consistent, looking for way. I was discussing with a friend, and he said, Sesan, don't put up the fence for those people. They were actually overpricing us before now. I said, for me, it's not actually the problem, but the regulators who are actually there to regulate, to make sure that at least by then would have been enjoying it. Because a lot of us came out and said the cost of tariff then was on the high side. But the operator said, no, we are even struggling to make ends meet. And that's on the premise of transparency that we keep saying when they carry out things. So for me, I feel the hike, if we have to go by the logic of what everyone is faced in terms of inflation, the high cost of operation for this organization, the 50% hike is highly considerable. But the area of failure is that government created those problems, and they are actually not standing up to responsibility to defend the citizen who on the long run bear the cost that will come out of it. Because I can tell you, if those infrastructure are not there to be maintained by the operators, you and I will go back to the Stone Age when we have to go everywhere to carry out our operation. Yeah. I'm sure you know a lot of us banks ride on some of this infrastructure to make life meaningful for their customers. Yeah. If those people seize the business, that means you go back to the age of a tally number when you have to wait for hours, when a lot of people have not visited banks for years because they have a platform at which they can ride on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really tough to argue against it, because if every other person, like you mentioned pure water, every other person, has had to increase their prices because of, an increment in production cost, and cost of operations generally. It's really tough, but I get your argument that, how really have they been running the operations for the last 13 years without, increasing. Because, those operational costs have definitely, been increasing bit by bit. It has just been completely staggering in the last 2 years or in the last 3 years because of, the removal of petrol subsidy and all of that. But the arguments will continue. I know Serap is asking that they do a reversal. I'm sure the arguments will continue until we'll see where it lands. On the Punch this morning, Amotekun mobilizes 2,000 men to comb Southwest Forest. It's back again to talking about arming the police and the security infrastructure in the southwestern states, and of course for states to be able to run their own security infrastructure. Do you agree that we should start taking that conversation more seriously, or is Amotekun going to be enough to really protect the southwest?
Yeah, I think it's a conversation that is long overdue. We can't be doing the same thing the same way. I expect different results. We've been having this centralized way of policing, and it's about people taking instruction from the center in Abuja. The state governors have limited control over the CP. Whatever you need to carry out, the instruction must come from the big Oga in Abuja, who may not understand, the pressure that the chief security officer, you call somebody chief security officer of a state, but he does not have direct control over who is responsible in managing that affair. And that's why this issue of discussing state policing, local vigilante policing will continue to be on the burning side for discussion all the time. Can we do something different? You see, up till now, I'm still shocked as an individual, knowing fully well the position of Mr. President on this issue of state policing. They started RRS in Lagos. I'm sure some of the guys that were actually uplifted, RRS actually gave them that promotion when you talked of the like of Egbetokun Egbetoku himself worked in RRS. There's this other man, I think Tunji Disu. You know, they all worked there, and we saw the way they fortified RRS in giving swift response when the conventional police were not responding to things. And Lagos seems to be a bit secure at that point in time. Is to tell you that if you're able to, and you know there is this Lagos State Security Trust Fund in synergy with the private sector, where they can get the funding to enhance them.
Fashola really champion that.
Champion that. So these are things that we're saying that when you give that in the hands of the state, I know the fear of everyone is that the state governors will not use the apparatus, maybe during election or against people. But don't forget, those people swear the oath of doing what is right at every point in time as a security operative, not to be used in the hands of some of these so-called politicians. And it's about 4 years. If you do your own and you leave, those personnel are still there in the service for the people. So I feel that we need to go to this. I take this issue of state policing seriously. This Amotekun is regionalized security process. I will give kudos to late Akeredolu. I believe if the man was still alive, we would have gone far with this Amotekun of a thing. You know, the fight he actually put up to legalize it, give those backing up. But immediately he died, we all went to back, or not until what we see playing out now is being reactive to issue based on the alarm raised by the governor of Oyo State. And we cannot continue to handle the issue of security in a reactive manner. We should be proactive. If we have actually followed through this idea of Amotekun by the Southwest state, we will not, in fact, those that are planning to infiltrate into the system, we take caution to say that is no-go area. But now, they've actually infiltrated into the place. We are now commissioning 2,000 or recruiting. The recruitment process would have been gradual, not the drastic one that we are trying to do now. And a lot of these people would have actually acclimatized with the work process in such a way to have created that, you know, initiative of protecting the area of coverage that they have actually been put into. It's something that is long overdue, and I will continue to say that as obtainable in the developed climate, that is the way to go. You have you have county police, you have metropolitan police, you have scattered around. When you go to developed world, when something happens, before a GP, set of police are actually there. So you can imagine if you give some of this even responsibility to the locals, where traditional rulers are given that responsibility to make sure that where they are actually ruling is actually being protected. If you go to Borno, Yola, where this attack are happening, it's not happening in the city. If you go to Maiduguri, as I speak to you, the capital of Borno State, people are carrying out their businesses. I have a friend who traveled and said, so I can't match the news of unrest in Borno with what I'm seeing here. And I said, yes, you are the capital of the state. If there is going to be any attack in Oyo State, in Lagos State, in any part of Southwest, it's not going to be capital. You cannot try anything in Ikeja. You can't try anything in, but when you go to the suburb, maybe when you move towards Agbowa, where those areas are just, you have remote people. Those people galvanize that area, cause unrest there. If you go to even the other thing Ibadan is secure. But when you go to areas like the suburb, like Okiogun, that vast land are just there without anything happening. Those are areas where these people will perpetrate their ills. And I feel that if we can develop this state, either regional, either local vigilante, to man every areas where we are, we will definitely have that security intact. And when areas are secure, you give prosperity even to the people that are in there. I always tell people, years back, I enjoy traveling at night. And for now, it's a suicidal mission.
No,
don't even travel during the day from one location to the other.
I even was reading someone's social media status yesterday or this morning, you know, only to find out that they were attacked by bandits on their way to Abuja a couple of days ago, and you know, one person in the vehicle was killed, another was kidnapped. You know, the rest of them were able to, you know, somehow escape. But it is still a reality, with regards to road travel.
Or such, that's what happens practically like every day. Those days, why do I enjoy night driving? The weather is cool. You can move at your pace. It's not busy. I can leave
and the
Lagos,
roads are dry.
I can leave Lagos around 6 and be going to Akure. That's the way I do it. But I'm talking of about 17 years ago. I won't try that even during the day. If I even want to go to Akure, I want to fly. If it's a business venture. Yeah. If you have a ceremony that you want to invite me in those areas, I will just tell you that don't worry, there are activities for me to do. I can do a transfer to at least to make my own.
Okay, I think I have an activity in Akure.
In Akure? Yeah. So just give the location. They will do the needful that is expected. But you can imagine the impact of this insecurity on those days. People travel at night from Lagos to the east now. You travel at night, go there, carry out your business. The next night, you're already returning to nobody knows.
I've had an uncle who in a day will be able to go to Ibadan, come back and still make a trip again down to another nearby state and still come back. And he's one of those persons who would tell you that he loves the night travel as well. Even though he would do those two trips in a day,
during
at night,
the other one,
very calm and so on. But it's quite different. Let's look at Senate wants conduct of national census this year. It's been a long time coming. Quite sadly, that during the last, during President Muhammadu Buhari's, administration, monies were doled out. Trainings were done, but it seems like nobody's talking about the money that was actually spent, and nothing was done again.
It's not new. That's the way we lack accountability in some of the activities that we carry out. I'm sure if you ask tomorrow now, different story will come out that possibly it was budgets that we saw that no money was. And you ask, where is the Accountant General of the Federation to actually react to this, whether funds was disbursed or not? And where is our EFCC to actually trail those funds to say this was done, but the project was not executed? These are the wastages we keep saying that we are faced with in the country. It's quite disheartening that we have to be begging for census to be carried out. When you don't know the figure, maybe because I'm an accountant, you play with figures. When you are not affirmative of certain things that is going on in your locality, how do you make effective planning for those people? You cannot actually state categorically the number of people in your local government. You cannot say categorically the number. We've been working with what I call projection. Lagos is 30 million. The federal government, we say, is 20 million. Lagos, we said by their last draft, things that they have done, we are about 30 million. Kano, we say they are 50 million. This one, we say, can we have, and we now have technology. We have different data being collated. BVN. And it's difficult to synergize. You have BVN, you have NIN. The only one they've not introduced is to introduce either APC or PDP as a way of actually collecting your data. Driver's license is there, international passport is there. Students are being registered in school. How are we? I keep asking myself, what will it take you to integrate this data for you to be able to have an actual figure or near actual for effective planning?
I think they need to do a proper census, because these not everybody is banked in Nigeria. Not also everybody, uses cell phones. Not everybody has, NIN. So I mean, it wouldn't be an accurate enough figure. We need to do a proper census.
No, we will. That's why I'm saying that censor is important. But even with the censor, you need to integrate some of this data so that there won't be this overlapping. If you need an information, FRC will say, bring your own. Banks will say, bring your own. Can't we have a central database? And that on its own, we even tame all these funny activities being carried out by people out there. You should be able to. Do you know, even with the BVN, we are not monitoring things. Somebody will collect money from Bank A and refuse to pay, go to Bank B. When you have BVN that link all your accounts together to say this, people can transfer money from one place to the other. Are they being monitored? I feel what we need to do is to drive some of these activities with the technologies that we have. synergize those things, that anyone that requires information about individuals, about even the actual number of people, there are private sector that wants to make social responsibility to an area. I can tell you, if you have database of activity, the menace that happened in Oyo State, which would have been averted. Somebody would have had a data to plan with on the expected. You may not have the actual, but you have figures that you can. But as we speak, it's difficult to even have access when you have states having conflicting figure. Federal government will say this is this figure they have for the state. The state will say we've carried our own internal checks and this is what we have. Which one do you follow? So when you have international support agency that wants to actually come and contribute to the growth of your economy, which data are you giving them for them to work with? Sensor is key, and there is not something that the National Assembly will be giving a marching order. It's what is expected of us so that we can have an holistic view, and it will aid our planning. When you have figures, you will be able to know what you will plan. But I feel that it will not be, manipulated for political reason. We'll have the actual to play out for effective planning and the growth of the country.
Yeah. Sesan Okunade, thank you very much for stopping by this morning and for speaking with us on these very important issues. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, it's always a great time to have you start
like I
the
said,
day
I have an
with.
event in Akure.
The only issue is there has been an hardware presentation this morning, and I think our viewers will just be looking where is the software that will complement it.
Yours are
But it's
important.
nice.
They are more concerned about the conversations we're having. All right. Thanks a lot. Stay with us. We take a very short break. When we come back, we continue with Breakfast Central this morning.